He's a game changer. Not like me, no. How did you get to be a game changer?
I got in through Poots, actually.
Through the being active in leagues and stuff, right?
Yeah, we were in a bunch of leagues and everything else.
Yeah. Do you play Xbox? Do you play Xbox?
No.
No, just Madden Mobile. Did you play any games like as a kid, like Sega or I don't even know?
Oh yeah, no, I played all those.
Sorry.
Yeah, I played a little. I played that when I was real young, but after that, yeah, PlayStation 2, and then before that, all the Nintendos from the regular 8-bit all the way through 64.
Mario. So my son is watching the Overwatch. Like Overwatch has a league,
right?
Playing each other, and it's huge. Like it's worldwide.
It has like 100,000,
100,000 viewers.
Like a gaming league. That's like a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna have like 10 viewers. All right, wait. How long? 2 minutes? Are we live? Should I bump that thing again?
No, we should be live. I'm trying to get the settings going right now.
Okay.
Should I not?
It doesn't matter. We have no rules. This is not Hollywood quality.
So, like, what's the whole point of the stream again?
To tell them think about Overdrive. And we are excited about it. And here I have this to explain how I feel about it. Watch this. This is how I feel about it, Jack.
Yeah.
Is that? Are you happy?
Yeah.
Or,
I don't really know if that's happiness.
It's the thing you always play on the internet when it's like, you know. I'm running out of drink. I think I need more drink. Clock, are we live?
The stream's live. You are not.
Okay. So, do you have a link for that? Oh, hi, Mike. Sorry, CHF. What's up? I'm not live. La 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 la. So if I go to your channel, it's live?
Channel is live. Yeah. But it's just the stream. It's not us actually on it yet.
Okay.
All right, the comments are.
I can't probably do both.
I would mute.
I'm on live now. I guess we're live. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live. We're live.
We are on. Hi.
Right now, there's nothing showing.
Right. We're letting for people trickle in, and hopefully Pooch shows up at some point.
We're live on Karlton. Let me get the link.
It should record.
Okay, you got it now? Here.
You guys hear us in the stream.
This guy too.
Commenting.
What's the big scary white guy?
That's who's hosting it. That's his cartoon character. I don't know. It's Karlton. What's the big scary white guy?
Tell that story to start off with. That can be our first question.
All right, guys, they can hear us. They can hear us. They can't see us, but they can hear us.
All right, perfect.
Hi there.
Let's go ahead and get started then with everything.
Are you able to get the video up?
I am.
Radio.
Okay.
It's radio, but it's on YouTube. YouTube radio. It's a new concept. We're going backwards.
Guys, we got YouTube radio here.
YouTube radio. Thank you very much.
Now we're gonna have some video for you guys in a sec.
And video killed the radio star, as you know.
All right. Well, here we go.
We are live. I hear me on the video, but it's delayed. Here, Jack. Here's us.
Just waiting on video. What's up, SLR? What's up, Left? How many people we got in here? Wow, 91 people here.
91. We are live. We are live now. I'm typing in MutHead. You people don't care.
All right. Hey, Karlton, we've got a black screen right now.
Yay, black screen.
There's
That's
music
me.
coming.
See.
Oh, wait. Oh, you're doing your intro.
It's a beautiful day on this
Oh, it's the
live
intro
stream.
time.
A beautiful day for subscribers. Would you be mine?
Everybody be
Could
quiet
you be
for the intro.
mine? It's a like and subscribe day on this channel. A channel for subscribers. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have subscribers just like you. I've always wanted
Hi,
to
Jack
be
is
on
now
a
watching the
live
intro over there,
stream
but I guess
with
we're not
you.
on because the intro's
So
done.
let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say,
So I
would
should
you
go
be
in
mine?
between.
Could you be mine? Won't you like and subscribe? Won't you please?
The Mr. Rogers
Won't
thing
you
did open this week.
please? Please won't you like and subscribe?
Yeah.
Oh, so he likes it.
We
Oh.
are live.
You're
So-
live. Oh.
Oh, my God. I can't believe you did that,
So,
Karlton.
I am one that loves to make an entrance. There's your entrance. Everybody's welcome. So before we get going a little bit, I wanted to take a minute to talk about what I wanted to do, why I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it, if for no other reason than just to give a little bit of background. So all of this started basically spun out of me sitting in a chat room or two for Madden late at night, working through a bottle of bourbon, working through some veggie straws. So we are fully prepared for that tonight as well. But some of my best memories came from not just playing the game, but talking to people and doing that. And so I thought one of the best ways to do that and to continue that is to bring in some friends. So that's what we've done today. I figured it would be a good opportunity. We've got people that are constantly either asking questions for Game Changers or about Game Changers. And with the launch today, with all the news that came out today with Season 5 and Overdrive, I thought it would be a good opportunity to see if we can't figure out how to take some of those questions from the community and maybe give a little bit of information out to everybody. So with that said, people we've got on the stream here, you've got CHF if you want to wave, and
Okay.
we've got Crane.
Hi.
So we've got Crane is from MutHead fame.
Yes.
You may know him as, I call him CCrane, but it's Crane. So the very first question that we're going to take actually came from the Crane household. And it is, what is up with the creepy white-faced cartoon dude? So you can't see it because it's been edited out. But again, we talk about halfway through a bottle of bourbon and veggie straws. I was trying to illustrate the way to properly eat the veggie straws. So this, if you can't see it, is the proper way to eat it. You've got one of each color, and you put them in this way. That's how you eat it.
I don't have veggie straw, but I do have paper. Oh yeah, it's about the same. Paper is about the same as your veggie straw.
To illustrate this,
It's healthier too. It's healthier too, Crane. Don't forget. Tastes the same, healthier.
Drew the lovely face, drew the veggie straws going into the mouth, and that was the picture that you see on the screen. And just sort of spun out of that. So that is the logo. That is what I am known for. Some of you may have seen the Karlton mask that I have. It's the exact same face. So that is the logo. So that was the very first question that we had. So I figure we'll just lay the proper foundation for that. So with that said, moving forward, Crane, I know you've had an opportunity to play the game a little bit. Why don't you give us your first impressions on it before we jump into questions?
Well, it's certainly, it's 3 minutes and it's fast. You got to keep like running plays as fast as you can because you got to score points. So like you don't want to call out plays with motion or play action and stuff because you got to score points. And then you got to worry about this tactic stuff where like if I see Karlton's running, like is there a tactic I can call that maybe will slow him down? Or he's throwing all these long bombs. Maybe I can somehow beef up my defense. So, but if I do that, then I'm not scoring. So it's fast paced. It's quick. I mean, the big thing though is the graphics are so much better, and looks. They called it broadcast like football. So basically, it feels like you're watching the game. I don't know. That's what I had to say.
And did you guys get a chance to see the video that they put out of Mark Price playing the actual game? They had some gameplay that's actually captured in the screen. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch that, but everything about that was just so much slicker than what it is right now. One of the things that really sort of, when I first played it, stood out to me was right now, I think everyone's familiar with you throw the ball long, the guy catches it, the meter shows up, catch. He gets hit by sometimes. he gets hit by the safety though, even though the meter says catch and the ball pops loose. I mean, there is one knock the ball out animation that I think we know of right now in the current season. And when we're playing the game for next season, there are so many different ways that ball has come out. You see guys getting twisted up, bent around, hit, pop, guys grabbing the ball, stripping it out. The detail associated with a lot of that stuff is so much different.
Fighting
CHF,
for your.
what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing that steps out, like when I first played it, I thought, man, this looks more like a console version of Madden. Like I played console Madden from 93 to 2012. Then I had a kid come along. So it was like, all right, no time for console Madden. And then I fell in love with the game in Madden Mobile 17, where I'm like, oh, I can play Madden again. And I can play it like on my phone and, head to the Madden throne for like 10 minutes and play it. And I got really hooked on it there. But it was kind of like, playing, I think my last Madden console was 2012. So it was like, all right, it's kind of a step backwards graphically. And I feel like with this new one, like it's picking up graphically, like on par with what I was used to back in 2012. And that's pretty awesome for me to have like a phone that feels like I'm playing Madden of like my heyday, like when I really enjoyed playing Madden. So that was the biggest takeaway for me.
I know one of the big, as a game changer, you're always soliciting feedback from the community. One of the things for me that's been the constant feedback this year has been drops. You're calling spread FL drag. You're hitting a tight end on an out route for 5 yards, wide open. All of a sudden, he just stone hands it, drops it right into the turf. And we had an opportunity to play it for a little bit, and I don't know if those have been fixed. I can't say it's been fixed, but I don't recall anything like that in all. I know they've talked about having a new engine, new animations. Obviously, a lot of things have changed graphically to make it a lot clearer. I don't recall any of that being in there. And so one of my biggest hopes moving forward is that they've been able to alleviate some of those gameplay issues. Crane and CHF, did you guys see anything like that in there?
So I'll take that one, and I'm sure, Crane, I want to hear your thoughts too, but that was something that I was specifically looking for. The wide open drops, because that has been the most frustrating thing for me about Madden Mobile 18 is you got somebody wide open, nobody within 10 yards of them. I mean, an NFL receiver from 10 yards out could go a whole season and not drop a catch and pass like that in the real world. And in Madden 18, like Madden Mobile 18 happens all the time. From my limited testing there, did not see a single time where if a guy was wide open and I hit him with the ball, he caught it. Now, if it's contested, that's another story. If it's contested and there's like a safety there, he catches it, he gets hit, you know, that's a different story. And in real football, guess what? That's going to get dropped. And I think you'll probably see the same thing in Madden Overdrive.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same thing. Also, like halfback option, there's a bunch of plays now in the Madden Mobile we play where you just lob it up, and like I have Jimmy Graham, he'll come down with it. He just chuck and he'll get it. In this, you have to really make the reads, and if they're not open, they probably won't catch it because they're probably either going to get picked or they're going to get hit and drop it. So they do have to have some space usually to catch it, I think.
Reading the defense is going to be a lot more important next year.
Well, and that's going to transition into one of the things I wanted to talk about was when we're playing it, you know, so far I've seen a lot of different defensive coverages compared to what you see now. I mean, now you're basically sitting there and you're looking, okay, is it man, is it zone? You might be able to tell if you've got blitzers coming off, depending on how they're aligned, whether or not they move with the motion. But, I mean, you are seeing 8 men in the box. You are seeing man coverages with safeties and linebackers rolled over to the strong side. I mean, the looks that I've seen so far are completely different from the ones that you've seen in the current season. And so reading it is going to be absolutely crucial pre-snap. And quite honestly, to me, it feels like the actual passing mechanism and in the ones we've got to play, you need to have a little more anticipation, which is sometimes a good thing because then you can throw guys open instead of having to wait for them to come out the break. You can actually go and throw them open, hit guys in open spaces a little more easier. I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look at that at all, but you know that was sort of my first thought is, wow, you know, we're going to be putting a lot more premium on early reads and anticipation if you're throwing the ball, getting the ball out.
So a couple of questions came in. One specifically for Crane, I noticed was a take on the card art, which we saw, I guess, a little bit of the card art in the stream today at EA Play. And I think Slay directed that to you, Crane. What's your take on the card art?
I think we're just playing with this year. I don't think they've done any content yet. I think we're just playing with this year's cards, right?
I don't know. I don't think we have that yet. You know, you got to keep in mind, guys, the limited testing that we got to do is, you know, we're still 2 months away, more than 2 months away. We're not testing on a finished game. We were testing the engine and looking for gameplay. So I don't know if anything that we know is even final.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the real limited look we got really was just gameplay and just the mode that they showed earlier today. So in terms of content, you know, that's not something that I don't think anybody in our group has seen and can really speak to. So, you know, we're just playing with what's there, and it looks like it's just a lot of the same players from this current year because they haven't been created yet. So one of the questions we've had come in from Mohammed is penalty flags. I don't know if they're in there or not. I can say that when I've played, I don't recall seeing anything like that. Have you guys seen that in there when you've played?
I hadn't seen any penalty flags, and I think, you know, Slay interviewed Matt, who's another game changer, and did a video of that interview yesterday. And I kind of feel the same way Matt explained it there, where he said, we don't want to see penalty flags because we don't want the engine to be committing penalties. We want to have a nice, clean game. Mm-hmm. And if the computer plays clean, then you shouldn't need penalty flags. And I think that's probably what we would all want. But I hadn't seen any penalty flags. Yeah,
I haven't seen anything in there. And, you know, I can't say definitively whether or not it's in there, just that I don't recall seeing it in there. One of the questions we had come in earlier was, how has the change actually impacted the gameplay? So, you know, we've heard, you know, some of the buzzwords have been new engine and things like that. You know, how has that change really impacted the specifics of gameplay? Crane or anybody else?
I'm going to be honest, Karlton. I missed that one. I was checking something on the side and I missed the question.
I'm greatly offended. So the question was, how has the new engine actually changed the gameplay? So I'll sort of tiptoe into it first. To me, when we've been running, if you're running the ball, you're catching the ball, the big thing has been the skill moves this year, your jukes, your spins, your truckings, your things like that. And the little bit that we've had, you're able to actually move and juke a lot of players and do things like that just by moving the stick and having good stick work on that. So you're not having to constantly use the skill button to do that. You're actually able to move your player a lot more effectively. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'd mirror that, Karlton. It feels really more responsive. If you're playing and you make a quick, you're heading to the left and you just make a quick, move of your thumb from left to right, your player moves almost in a juking fashion,
right?
More like you would see on console Madden, as opposed to in the current engine that we have today. You have to do the swipe across the middle of the screen in order to get any kind of useful juke sort of movement. It's a lot more responsive to the stick.
I think we lost Crane. He was having some connectivity issues earlier. So hopefully we'll be able to get him back earlier. We've got a question about devices. I don't know what devices are going to be compatible. I've got an old phone and was able to actually effectively play that on that. So I'm hoping that hopefully most of the devices that are available now at the end of this year will be able to be carried over.
We know that if you're a Kindle user, that you probably won't be able to play. That we know.
Right.
I think we can
phased
stay on that one.
Devices. Crane's back, or at least Crane's chair is back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's disconnecting. Sorry.
Uh-oh. He's back with the Flash shirt.
Yeah, I have the Flash shirt. Oh, sorry.
That's how you know when Crane means business. Will we see more action like bull rush and swim moves to get to the quarterback instead of teleporting through the offensive line? A lot of people, the counter system in this current year is a real love-hate relationship with people. They hate it when they hit 3-6% counters in a row, but they love it when their opponents do. I don't know if that's going to be a part of it. It wasn't in what we did, but again, we had a real skinny down version, and for what we were looking at, it was just going to be the actual gameplay. So if the question was, are there going to be counters? I don't think we can say definitively one way or another, unless you guys have heard anything different.
No, I don't think we have. And someone threw out, I've seen this question pop up a couple of times. Let me scroll back up and grab it. But someone was saying and I think we could talk a little bit about it since we saw it today at EA Play, was the fantasy point sort of thing, like what it means by that. So the concept, if you play fantasy football, right, where you draft your favorite players or however you do that, and then the real NFL is going on, and if that player gets a catch, you get a point in fantasy. If they get 10 yards, you get a point in fantasy, or it carries over there. So it's not just like a football. So when you saw, Mark was playing versus Joe, you would see things that pop up if you go back and watch that, where, he catches, a drag route for 7 yards, and it's 5 points for reception and then 7 points for the yards. So essentially during that 3-minute period where both people are playing live, a touchdown is worth some points. A catch is worth some points if you rush for a certain number of yards. So you're going to see big scores in that game mode, like we saw today, where Mark put up like 800 points in that 3-minute period. So there's a lot more scoring there. And that's going to be something that, we'll have to learn when the game comes out and get used to, as far as, do you try to get, a bunch of little dink and dunk plays to get down the field and score a touchdown because you get 5 yards, or do you try and bomb it and get, a big touchdown play? But that's the concept of it, where it's got that new mode. Anything
for me, I always laughed because if you pull up my film history for this year, if I hit 2% on run, I have done something terribly wrong and hit a wrong button. But I really found myself spending a lot of time running. So for people that maybe have avoided that in the past, it looks like it looks like that, that may be a much more viable option.
I think also they're going to, just like now in fantasy football, when you're playing that, you're like, well, how many points do I need to draft a quarterback early because quarterback passing yards are so overvalued in this league? Or do I need a great running back because running yards and running touchdowns are overvalued? So I think that's the same thing here, as we were sort of seeing, okay, it seems like we can get more points with rushing. But then in talking with EA, they have a way that they can sort of balance that throughout the season. So it might be long passes are the way to go, or short passes or runs. It's going to be hard to try to figure out how the scoring system works.
And it was interesting on the stream from EA Play earlier, they had talked about how, that there are going to be coaches, and I'm not sure that we really fully understand how those are going to integrate themselves. There'll be captains, but it sounds like there will be ways to actually make your team personalized a lot more to your style. So if you're a runner, you can maybe find ways to tweak it so you can run better or get more points for that. If you're more in favor of passing, you can do that too. So, it sounds like one of the cool things that could be coming out of this is the ability to personalize a little bit more. I don't know if you guys had any experience with that.
Yeah, it's been kind of limited because, as you guys said, it's a limited test build that we all got to play. It's not the full game. I don't think the full game is even done yet. We've got 2.5 months. They're still doing things. If it was done, they'd just be sitting around for 2 months. And I know that's not what they're doing. They're still very much working hard day in and day out. So a lot of the questions that you guys are putting out here, like, will different coaches have different playbooks? Will captains come with their own playbooks and different overdrive tactic perks? A lot of that we don't know. We'd love to be able to give you answers on some of those things, but the limited build that we have, I don't think we even had the ability to dig that deep into everything that they're doing. They really just wanted us to be able to say, guys, you guys play a lot of this game now. Give us some thoughts on the gameplay. Are we getting this right? Are we getting that right? What are your thoughts? And that's kind of the limit of it. They haven't really given us a build that has everything where we can look at everything that all of those new features look like. So I know you guys want that stuff, and we're not ignoring the comments on those. It's just we don't have the answers to some of those questions.
Right.
And things we'll be able to speak on really relate to more gameplay specific. So one of the questions, and Crane, this is probably a good one for you to start off with, is, with the new gameplay, what have you found that's been the most difficult in transitioning from last season to this season?
Mainly that I'm not that great of a passer. I sort of like chuck it up and hope that Jimmy Graham catches it. And then, of course, I watch HSD's videos. Hey, Steve Dave, shout out to him. He was not here.
He was supposed to join us tonight and bailed on us last minute. He's having too much fun at EA Play.
So, there's like, bunch PA pin. I run that to the tight end because he's open over there. Or the electric slide play. I throw that to the fullback. So there's only about 4 or 5 passing plays that I do. I run up quite a bit. And I think in this, passing is, you really have to learn how to read it better than I know how to read passing plays. Like I said, if you just throw it up to your tight end because he's a tight end, he'll just come down with it, it's probably not going to happen.
Which guys who happen to be subscribers of my channel, because I know we brought over, you should like that. I preach that every day on my channel. Smart play calling, make good reads, read the defense. We used to joke, we love you guys. I played you guys a couple of times last year about the 99 problems special. HSD calls you guys out on it too in the past, where you just call PA all go and just chuck it up there. That is, from the limited amount that we've seen, that is not going to fly in Madden Overdrive. Running did appear to be viable, and they did that because, Mark, Joe said Mark's using a more running based team. I'm using a more passing based team. And as you saw, Mark whooped up on Joe pretty bad, like 800 to 200. So running definitely seems like it's going to be viable. But I can tell you, if you're just thinking that you're going to call Hail Mary every play, probably not going to work very well for you in Madden Overdrive. So you may want to focus more on, if you're going to be a passer, if you want to have a pass heavy offense, make sure that you're reading defenses and learning coverage.
Yeah. And, a lot of the plays that we have this year, I mean, there are just certain plays are going to work. If you get inside the 5-yard line or 6-yard line, you get a goal line formation, you call fullback flare, flip it, hit the fullback, touchdown.
Every time.
Spread FL drag, if the guy catches it, you're going to pick up, 6 yards. There are certain plays that are just money plays. And, playing this, the little bit that I've had a chance to play back when we were playing it this year, a little earlier, there aren't money plays. The defense is constantly changing. You're constantly getting different looks. And so, it's frustrating, I think, for a lot of people to have a great team. I've got a 128 defense, and to see guys just running down the field on a bunch of plays that we work. And, I don't know if that's going to be there this year. Did you guys have the ability to do that on a lot of them?
Me? Oh, no. I mean, yeah, you call play. You're like, oh, yeah, there's a tight end corner route, which I love, tight end corner. Everybody loves that. Flare, spot, double hitch. Oh, the tight end corner route. So you recognize that and say, I'll call that. It'll work one time, but then the next time there's 4 guys on him, and he's not going to catch that. So, yeah, there are plays that you think are going to work, and they'll work one time, but they're not going to work the next necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, that was my experience too. Like within the limited testing, I would even do things like, spam a play and just see, okay, is this guy going to get open every single time on this play? And I saw that it wasn't like this season. Like if I couldn't focus in and say, okay, this tight end is running on a corner route, so I'm going to throw it to him every single time. Like sometimes I'd call it and be like, oh, he's wide open, hit him with a bullet pass. The next time, like Crane said, there's 3 guys on him. So you really, it's less of knowing, hey, pre-snap, I got one guy I'm going to go to every single time on this play. It really comes down to, I got to look at the field, see what the defense is giving me, and take what the defense gives me.
And I want to touch on, Shaba's asked this question at least twice now, do the cornerbacks actually press the wide receivers? And, from what I've seen, yes, there are plays where there actually, it looks like there's a press feature. There are plays where they're actually pulled back. And so, I don't know if you're going to be getting a lot of these free runs off the end. Obviously all this stuff is subject to change, but yeah, I mean, it looks like from a defensive standpoint, a lot of that stuff that you actually see feels a lot more realistic this year, including, pressing from the corners. Did you guys notice that too?
Yeah. I mean, what I thought was neat too is not just pressing from the corners, but you'll call a play, and in current Madden Mobile, right? We're looking at a play. The only thing that you see a defense do pre-snap is if you've got man coverage, they take a little step, and then maybe a linebacker will slide out. Or on some plays, if you got like a heavy set on one side, you'll see a corner run across the field, but they don't really move. So if they're coming out in like a 3-4 under or a 3-4 or a 4-3 over type of formation, it's not like they come out in a base formation and then move to that. There's a ton of movement on the defense pre-snap. And you can see that even in the play calling in Joe's video in the stream, where the defense will come out and then 3 or 4 different guys on the defense will shuffle around based on the offensive play to get in good position, which if you play console, that should be familiar and should be a good sign, because you see that in console.
It's not something that's balanced either. I mean, you'll see formations where, it'll be some type of a man coverage. You'll have both cornerbacks on one side. You'll have a single safety deep. You'll have a second safety like up at the line of scrimmage. Like you have a little bit of change this year, but the looks are just completely different. It's fantastic. As someone that takes the time to actually go through, pre-snap for a lot of them and read everything. I think there's a lot of good information, and for people that actually are able to do that and anticipate what's coming in, I think that will really bear a lot more fruit in the next season than this season. So I mean, that's, yeah, I was super stoked to see that. I had a question about O-line performing. what have been your impressions on that?
I mean, I've taken a few sacks, and I'm sure you guys probably did too. I mean, it's a different engine, so it takes some time to get used to. But in general, especially compared to current season on all Madden specifically, where your left and right ends are just basically useless because there's so much speed, the ends are coming around them before they can even like plant their back feet to start setting a block. They at least would get their blocks off. I didn't see any plays where an end was just in the backfield before doing anything. Like I've seen, if there was a good end, he tussles up with his right tackle, he does a spin move and comes around, and he's still coming in quick. But it's not one of those things. I didn't see any from my play testing where they just are in front of your offensive line uncontested and there's nothing you can do a half a second into the play.
Tackle was always sort of the punchline from this current season, right? Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice anything like that. Again, it's such a small window, you can't say it's not there. But I don't recall anything where you have a defensive end or a blitzing outside linebacker actually beating your quarterback to the end of a drop, like I think you've seen this season. How have you guys adjusted your play style? What changed for you guys?
Me? I ran.
Anybody?
I tried to run a lot more. I seem to think that I was getting more points faster running than passing. I think just because I'm not great at reading the field. The angle's a little bit different for me too. It was kind of a lower angle, so it's kind of hard to see which receivers were open. I think they may have changed it. Looking at what Joe was playing today, it looked like it was a little bit higher of an angle, so maybe it's a little bit easier now. But I was kind of having a hard time. So I was running it a lot, and I scoring some touchdowns.
And someone threw out QBs getting sacked on run plays. We haven't played it a ton, but it has not happened to me, and I did do a decent mix of running and passing when I was playtesting it. That's not to say it can't happen. I'm just saying in the limited amount of time that I did, I tried to be diverse and try, all the plays that were available to me at least once. I didn't see anyone where I got sacked before I could hand off the ball.
We talked a little bit earlier about anticipation. Two of the biggest changes that I can recall. Firstly, right now, you almost have to wait for wide receivers, tight ends, whomever it is, to get out of their final break to be able to then throw the ball. Now if you've got, somebody running a double move, running a post corner or whatever it is, you can throw the ball early and both the receiver and quarterback understand what the route's going to be and the ball gets thrown accordingly. So you don't have to wait until the last minute for that receiver to get out of their final break. You actually can throw with a little bit of anticipation, which helps. The other thing too I noticed was, when we talk about running the ball, one of the frustrating things in this season is when you're running the ball out wide, you've got a linebacker caught up in the wash. You have just a single safety downfield. You've got a guard or a fullback that's pulled out and is bearing down on him. And then all of a sudden, the guard just sort of pulls off and runs back to everything else. I mean, I have had wide receivers that are blocking, 30 yards plus downfield, which is really fantastic, and I think helps make that a much more viable option. Let's see. One of the guys asked just now about route clogging. Have you guys noticed anything with what you've been able to play?
I mean, I've seen cases where if you were in my stream before this, which I know not everyone is, but I know a good portion of you guys were in my stream before, where like you call PA slide and your fullback gets caught on your own tackle who is pushed back, and your tight end gets caught on a linebacker, and your two main reads are not there. I don't think I saw anything like that, but I mean, I have seen a case where, if you've got a guy running a drag route and you've got a middle linebacker who's blitzing, if they run into each other, I don't think I saw anywhere it would like hang up and they'd just be stuck there for like 3 seconds. But at the same time, I mean, if they jam the route, you are going to have your guy hung up for a second. But I mean, I feel like it'd be a bad thing if we didn't see that, because that happens in the NFL. If someone's running a drag route and a middle linebacker bumps into him, and it's within the 5-yard line, so it's, not a penalty, that's jamming a receiver is a way to throw off a route intentionally. So I think they tried to build that in.
Yeah, but I think in this current Madden now, Madden 18, we'll call it, the one we're still playing, they seem to get clogged just
all the time.
Infinitely. They never get out of it. They're just like stuck forever in that spot, especially like on fullbacks, on slide. The fullback or the tight end, they're never going to get through. But I think in the overdrive we played, they'll get hit up a little bit, but they'll adjust and they'll move some.
Yeah, and we're getting more questions about offensive line blocking, all of that stuff. I mean, a lot of the big concerns that people have consistently had this year, you hear right tackle, you hear the drops, all of those, I can't speak for you guys, but, I have an experience. So I've got a pretty high level of excitement going into season 5, not just because of the improved gameplay, not just because it actually looks prettier, but from what I've seen, it actually performs and functions a lot better. And so I think it's really going to, from a competitive standpoint, tilt the balance towards people that are a little more skilled in playing it. And so I think you'll probably see a lot more separation from the top players in the game next year, because they'll have a lot more ability to differentiate themselves. And I think you look at the scoring too, with what they have this year. The current LVL, it's you go, you play, and even if you're on all Madden, a lot of the top guys, if you watch HSD stream, they'll just put up 24, 24, 24. There's really a ceiling on it, and I don't know what the scoring holds, but it looks like, conceivably the only real cap on scoring is going to be time, based on what we saw in the EA video earlier today. So the top players, no longer are they capped in how much they can score. So hopefully, if you're one of those people, it'll give you a better opportunity to differentiate yourself on the top end. So I would expect that this is something that really should be embraced. By the top players in this, because it allows them to essentially take the lid off and go full bore at it. I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on that, but that was one of the first things I thought of.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've in my league, I banned bombs, okay, which has been controversial, especially since the meta of the current game has gone so heavy towards bombs. You're not allowed to throw a streak route in my league, or I'm going to kick you. And it's just because, for me, knowing that I've always preached on my channel, smart play calling, read the defense, and especially since, we had that little test that we got to do where it seems like that is so much more important this year. The last thing I want is my guys for the next 2 months chucking bombs over and over that are complete. It's going to hurt their skills, and it's going to hurt their ability to read a defense. And I don't want my league coming in day 1 of next year and just getting smoked because they don't know how to do anything but throw bombs anymore. So from that standpoint, Jukes, I'm not going to get, we frown upon it. If it's 4th and 30 and they throw a bomb, I'm not going to be mad. But if someone just comes out chucking Hail Mary on first down every day, they're not going to last in my league.
You talk about bombs and things like that. I'm not too sure, what really has allowed that to happen. The current season, you don't have jams at the line. You've got, a speed cap at 125, and we don't know how any of that stuff's going to play out heading into the next season. But, if you've got cornerbacks that are jamming at the line, if you've got a lot better defensive AI, I'm not even sure that's going to be an option for next year. So, hopefully that won't be a problem. But no, I mean, you're a lot meaner of a commish than we are. I mean, we tell people to find any way that they can without cheating within the confines of the game to put up 24. We've got some guys that do it. We've got a lot of guys that don't. We've got some guys that just run the ball all the time, which frustrates me. But if they're putting up 24s, hey, good for them.
My focus is on coaching. That's my only thing is I'm not trying to, you guys are like top 20. We're in the top 100, but we're not making that push to play, in the top 10 or anything like that. So I'd rather help my guys get better. That's been my focus. I mean, last year I was in a top league, kind of like less of a concern for me this season. I'm really focusing on kind of extend from what I do on my channel within my league and help guys get better at the game. So I'd rather them lose playing smart than win chucking bombs, because to me, it's not as important long term.
Chucking bombs can be smart. It's all about reading the coverage ahead of time instead of just throwing it up into triple coverage. Question we had are over the shoulder catches. I don't know. Are they still rare? I don't know if they're rare, but I will tell you this. I have seen some crazy catches, and not just catches. You'll have guys that may get hit in the backfield and they'll spin out and they'll stumble for a few yards. They'll have guys that'll get hit, they'll stumble, they'll actually then regain their footing and keep going. So I don't know if over-the-shoulder catches are still rare, but a lot of the animations with not just catching but running and things like that are so vastly different. The first time you see them, you sort of stop and you just think about it and you're just like, wow, that is so different from what we've spent the last 4 seasons expecting out of the game. Sometimes you lose track of what's going on because you're just actually lost in the game. So yeah, all that stuff is just completely different this year or for next season. It's crazy. So one-handed catch animations, I can't remember any, but I would expect they're probably in there. I don't know. I think we saw some in that intro video. So do you guys have any sort of just wow moments the first time that you picked up this new build for next year?
I did. And oddly, I'm very pass heavy this year. And I talk about that. I was really impressed with running in the next season, specifically the control where, if you're running, for example, like a stretch route or something where you're running towards the outside and you basically have either a linebacker or a defensive back who's coming in, in the current season, it's basically, truck, hit the spin move, try and, swipe to juke, do something like that. But just being able to move the stick and have so much more responsive controls while you're the ball carrier, and you can make people miss without needing to do that other stuff. So you're focused less on trying to get a finger in to swipe or do something like that. So you can focus really on looking at the field and not just what that guy who you're trying to get around is doing, but what the second level is doing as well. That was a wow moment for me when I was able to kind of just have that kind of responsive movement that was way better than anything I saw this year.
Yeah, and I think like what you were saying, Karlton, is that in the game we're playing now, there only seems to be about 10 animations for catching, 3 or 4 for running, and that's it. But it seems like every play is different in the new Overdrive. They don't catch it exactly the same way. Like you said, the runner sort of stumbles, maybe gets up or falls forward, sort of falling forward for 4 or 5 yards, like putting one hand on the ground and trying to keep himself up. It just a lot more. It's almost unique. Every play is unique in animation. Where as in the current Madden, you probably only have 10 animations or something for catching and tackling.
We get people that are asking about 2 things, and I'll address them sort of in order. The first question we're getting are seasons, and to be honest, we have no idea. We were handed a pretty limited build to just sort of toe dip with a little bit, and so the only thing we've been able to test is this mode. So we don't know if seasons will be there or not, and and if they are great, seasons for this season, I've had 4 Super Bowl wins, and I'm halfway through my 5th season. So my goal is to pick up the Brady Master that you need 5 season Super Bowls on by the end of the year. So seasons was never a big driver for me. But I don't know. I don't think anybody knows, especially in here, whether or not that's going to be in the game next year or not. The other thing people are asking about is super wins. Super wins. Yet.
Do you remember seeing a catch meet or anything like that?
I don't recall seeing it in playtesting, and I don't recall seeing it in the EA Play stream today, because Joe was basically only passing the ball, and I don't think I saw a single catch meter.
Yeah, and that's what it kind of annoyed me too. Is in the current game now, you can have it. It's green. It says you caught it, and then you get hit, and it pops out. So what does it matter?
Oh, guys, it looks like they said they lost us for 30 seconds.
Oh,
yeah, I just saw that.
They
I think we're
lose
back.
all the good stuff.
I think we're back. Hey, you know what? When you try slap together a game stream with a bunch of duct tape and veggie straws and bourbon, sometimes that stuff happens. So the fact that we have been able to make it 50 minutes so far into this, quite honestly, has exceeded my expectations. So we'll try.
I'm glad I didn't have to pick up and restream. I was worried. I'm like, if this thing just falls apart, I'll have to broadcast it on my channel. I'm glad I didn't have to boot up OBS again.
You know what? This is one of those things where, if you ever race cars, the saying was never take a car to the racetrack that you can't afford to leave there. Well, that's where we're at. You know what? If this falls by the side of the road, falls to the track, we'll just we'll leave it there. Gamepad support, I don't know if that's going to be in there. The question on super wins. I don't think any of us have experienced super wins, and we're trying to figure out whether or not we actually recalled even seeing the catch meter show up. And I think the consensus was we don't remember it. Again, it's one of those things where, this certainly is not a full functionality game. I had people there telling us at EA Play that even had a little thing in the corner disclaimer that said, work in progress or something else. So, don't take anything that we're saying wasn't in there as definitive evidence it's not going to be in there, because it was a pretty stripped down version of what we actually had a chance to play. Will there be new touchdown celebrations? Yes. I don't know if there will be anything cool. I don't know if they're going to have Chad Ochocinco on the sideline wearing his Hall of Fame jacket or playing golf or anything else like that. But I do remember seeing some new things with touchdowns. It's funny though,
NFL allow that anymore? Like, are you even allowed to celebrate for a touchdown?
I don't know. I think they're sort of loosening things up a little bit on that, but yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. You play the game, and the first few times through, you'd play it and you would miss so much because you're focused on something else. One of the things that was a big challenge to get used to was, right now with head to head, it's just, I've got a 24-hour window. I'm going to score at my convenience whenever I can, as opposed to this, it looks like it's timed. If that's the way this ends up going and it's a timed round, you're rushing to get stuff taken care of. And, there could be things in there that, we've completely just overlooked because you're so focused on getting in and getting scores. I don't know, were there things that you guys missed the first few times through?
I don't normally watch the touchdown celebrations. I think, like, even in the game now, if as soon as they get in the end zone, you tap the screen a couple times, you can go on to the next play. And I think that's probably what I was doing in Overdrive, because you want to score as many points as you can. You don't really want to watch a guy dance for 5 seconds.
Yeah, and someone asked, they put it out there where they said, in like LVL, because I know, especially, you guys are in a top league. I run a top 100 league. LVL is, something that I think, and, Crane, you're on MutHead. I mean, LVL is a huge part of Madden Mobile. And I would say for me, probably one of my favorite parts of this season and last season, because you've got your league and you're building friendships and relationships, and that community aspect of the game is big. We don't know, other than knowing that leagues are still very much a thing in Madden Overdrive, but we did not get to do any sort of playing within a league environment in the build. Like we were basically what you guys saw on EA Play today. That's the test build that we were running.
That's right.
Crane, did you have anything that you sort of missed the first couple times through?
Okay, how about this, the little thing on the lower right, this, I don't know, tactics or whatever. It seems kind of complicated. I don't know. It seemed like a lot to grasp. I guess
I liked it. I like that, just in the sense that, what currently, in leagues, you've got live countering and things like that. And I like the idea. Sorry, Craig, I'd put something in the green screen, but the chat we're using doesn't allow me. So you're stuck with the green screen. The tactics I thought was neat. You could play, like if you see someone's running against you and you see something there where it's like, boost play recognition, I think was one of the ones that I saw in the EA Play one today. I think there was like one to boost zone coverage, one to boost play recognition, one to boost catching. So if you see someone's running a lot, to be able to hit that increased play recognition so that they see that it's a run, your defense sees that it's a run play earlier, and they're going to come up and stop that run. To me, that's kind of neat to be able to adjust on the fly, where you've got your players, but you've also got something where when someone's playing against you, you can do something to impact how they're playing. And that to me is a cool new feature. I think we're going to have to learn a lot, like us and you. We're all going to have to learn a ton when this comes out, because it's very new. But I like the idea because I feel like it adds just one more element of skill to the game.
It's about, functional awareness too. When you start off, you hit the snap button, and you either try and run, or you've got, one or two-man read. And as you sort of develop the ability to play a little bit more in depth, you start being able to start reading coverages and things like that. And, in addition to all the different coverages and everything else that's in here, in this mode, you now have to, or at least have the option of being aware of, to a limited degree, it looks like, what your opponent's doing. And, I don't know how well that's firmed up, but it looks like, there'll be some interactivity because it's happening in real time to impact your opponent. So it's not just going in live countering or changing game plans, but you can actually disrupt them as that goes on. So, it's something where, it feels like the top players, the ones that really have the skill and the ability to have that functional awareness, based on the early things we've seen, to really benefit under this season, and give people a lot more opportunities to sort of develop as players, develop skill as players for that, which is interesting. Jay had a question earlier too about quarterback handling. Quarterback handling seems to be great. I know specifically he was talking about, right now in season 4, you've got plays, pin deep and trip stick and empty trip stick, and a lot of those where, you run into 45-degree angle, you can sort of get around the quarterback scramble. Then when you hit the line of scrimmage, they take off. I don't know if that's still in there, but in terms of quarterback handling, I had quite a few of them where you could do that. The biggest challenge, I think, was, with the version that's out there, there was Russell Wilson and Drew Brees, and I picked the Saints. I think it fit my skill set a little bit better in terms of how I like to call plays. And Drew Brees is not the most mobile quarterback. So I don't know if I had the best ability to test that. Either you guys use Russell Wilson a lot to run.
I did, but I think I'm spoiled by having Baker Mayfield this year. So like he moves so much faster that it's like even Russell Wilson, who's a scrambling quarterback, felt slow compared to an end of season 125 overall speed quarterback that I'm used to. And honestly, it was a test build. We didn't get to, play nonstop for forever. So on that note, like I didn't have enough time to really focus in on that. I was just taken aback by all of the other new stuff that wasn't really in my priority as far as testing the shuffle scramble.
I think HSD said he was having some success running with a quarterback, but I tried it a little bit and I really didn't get anywhere. I found it, your halfback is getting paid to run the ball, so let him do that. That's what I was doing.
Crane's out here running Packers sweep straight out of the Lombardi playbook. Hey, if it works, it works. I had a question about point of view. Nobody saw anything, from a first person point of view. I think when we're talking about point of view, you've got your camera that's back behind the quarterback. Just the angle on that looks like it's a little bit lower. So what that does is it sort of limits your ability to differentiate depth downfield, which adds an interesting difficulty layer to the passing. But I think it provides a more realistic viewpoint. You're not going to have the viewpoint of a quarterback who's 50 foot tall looking downfield. So I think that's what we were talking about when we were talking about point of view differences, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do we not need a kick returner for head-to-head? Well, I mean, in this mode, if you watch the video they had earlier, you go and you either score or, as Joe did, get a turnover right in the end zone, and it just went right back to first down on the next play. So I don't know about any other modes in the overdrive mode, though. It looks like at least the build they were playing. It looks like once you score or you lose possession of it, it automatically just jumps back into offense first down. Isn't that what you guys saw?
Yeah, and they said that in the blog too. So if you guys haven't checked it out, on the same link that is in there, there's actually a blog that goes into some more detailed questions or things, and it says specifically in the new PvP mode that there are no kickoffs. So I think since EA put that on their blog, I think that's probably going to be a final thing. I mean, granted, it's a work in progress. It could change, but it's at least final enough that EA put that in the blog that says there's no kickoffs in the new PvP mode.
So, we've had just a couple questions, and then we'll call it at the end. Crane talking about himself in the third person. Training, again, it's early. We don't know if that will be a thing in Season 5. If it is, how it'll interplay. At the beginning of this year, you had 20 level training. Now, at the end, you've got this 5-level training. So we don't know if it's in there. How much it'll be in there, how it'll be in there. We didn't touch any of the context stuff. We got people asking for links to the EA video. I don't know how that works, but I will try and drop it in the links below. All the people I see doing this point down at this point, so that's what I'm going to do. I don't have anything else to add. Appreciate everybody hopping on. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add? Any questions that you wanted to address that didn't get a chance to do, or any last thoughts?
I saw a few questions on audibles, and we didn't see that in what we were playing. And you don't see that in I didn't see unless you want to call that like tactics and audible. It's not really an audible. Like once you get to the line of scrimmage, you pick a play and then you run it. Before you pick a play, you can pick one of those. What are we calling these? Tactics. You can pick one of them. Maybe like boost run blocking or something, but not really an audible. Once you're at the line, you're going to run that play. Yeah.
CHF, anything else you guys want to add, or you want to add?
This is only speculation, but it's speculation based on what I see in the EA blog that they put out there where they, we know that kicking is not a part of the new PvP mode because they've said that. But it makes me think that they did mention that there is a new kicking point of view. So that makes me think in some game mode that we have not seen, kicking does still exist in Madden Overdrive because they talked specifically about a new kicking
meter.
So we haven't seen that, but they've talked about it on the blog. So that makes me think there is still at least some purpose of kicking, whether that means kickoffs or just field goals. And on that, I didn't even think, did any of you guys try to kick a field goal in the test?
And I can't recall actually trying to do that. So, I mean, we don't really kick field goals. About the only time that we ever kick a field goal is, if you're right at the end of a super close match and you need the point. So, I don't know. I'll be honest. I can't even tell you if there was a special teams option on there. There may be, and I just missed it. But for me, it was all end zone, end zone, end zone, end zone. So, okay. Hey, guys, I appreciate you joining me. Crane up above, CHF to my left. Appreciate you guys hopping on, answering questions. I'll touch on a couple more real quick. Team chemistry, people are asking about. That's not something that we really got a chance to deal with or to use. You just sort of got handed a team and said, here, go play. Difficulty levels. It's not so much that it's difficult. It's just that it's different. And, for some of us who have been playing for 4 years one way, you get trained to do things a certain way. You get the timing down. And, there'll be new plays that you learn from season to season. But, I do have an expectation that there will be a bit of a learning curve for people just because it is completely different. It doesn't make it difficult. It just makes it different. But I think this new engine, with at least the things that we've been able to test, will really give a lot of people, especially on the top end, the ability to differentiate themselves because you're not capped at points or anything else. And I think that should really excite people that, the more time you spend learning the craft of playing this game, you'll be rewarded. There's not going to be any type of a cap or limit to that. So last question we had was, how can we provide feedback? If you know a game changer, feel free to reach out to them. Almost all of them are great. There's one that's not. I'm kidding. They're all great. Feel free to reach out to them. Crane's going to toss out the MutHead swag, which is a great resource. I know that, we look at that. Crane and Legend are both good about relaying information in there. CHF has got a great stream, like, subscribe. He does a great job of interacting with his people. So if you're in there, I'm sure you'll be able to get your voices heard. So, I don't know how this works. Everyone says like and subscribe. So if you liked it, feel free to subscribe, mash on that button. I don't know how much
what you need to do as a fellow. You tell people what to expect from the channel when they like and subscribe. Are we going to do more things like this? What are your plans for this one, for those guys who subscribe? What do you want to bring to them?
I'd like to have something where we've got content, we've got pack openings, we've got gameplay. There's a lot of good things out there. And, it's something that we may touch on. Quite honestly, the niche that I would like to carve out is something where, you've got a bunch of people that are sitting around. It's somewhat unique because, we all can go into chat rooms and talk with people that have similar interests, or we all can go out and talk to friends that may or may not have a similar interest. But if we can create an environment where we can actually have good interactivity with people, sit around, have a good time, have some laughs, have some fun, not take ourselves too seriously, and find something that's entertaining. I play this game because it's fun. I don't play this game because of competition or anything else. I've done this all this because it's fun. And, I will continue to do this so long as I'm having fun. So, hopefully you guys can like and subscribe when we do this. If we get good feedback, we can make changes to what people like. But, I just want to have a time to sit down, talk with people, bring people in, either commissions, other game changers, really have an opportunity to bridge the gaps between some different areas within the game, and just, have a good time for an hour or so, a little bit. So appreciate everybody hopping on. Again, if you liked it, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. If you've got more comments, please feel free to reach out, leave them below. Let me know what we liked. Let me know what you didn't. Someone asked me how I thought it would go. I said, well, I hope it goes well, but even if it goes badly, that might actually be more fun. So if there are things you want to see, if there are questions we didn't get touched on that you want answered, we'll try and answer them as best we can. Obviously, we're working from a real limited pool, and there's not a lot of stuff that we can touch on that people are asking about. But, feel free to leave that in the comment section. We'll try and get to them. So, again, appreciate it, Crane, CHF, and until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.
See you guys.
Go.